877-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Thursday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Sandy Humphrey and Brendan Schaefer here. One more day closer to Super Bowl 60 in the Bay Area. And today, we get our good friend Matt Hamilton to join us live from the Bay Area for Super Bowl 60. He at FanDuel TV, former Mizzou guy, great friend of the show. And it will be important, Brendan, to ask where exactly he is in the Bay Area. Is it San Francisco? Is it Santa Clara? Is it San Jose? Where? You know, it's been a huge point this whole week.
Complicated. Very complicated. But Bay Area, I mean, you're covered if you say that, and that's kind of been your go-to the whole way through.
Yeah, because I can't really specify either way. Like, it's hard to know. But Matt Hamilton will clear it up for us and talk some football, of course, as we get closer to the Super Bowl. He'll join us at 4:25. We'll have, in the meantime, some over-unders for Super Bowl 60. We'll play our usual game there, 4:05. We'll also update our SEC basketball tiers at 5:05. Mizzou, since the last update, has only played one game since then, but some interesting movement for other SEC teams that we'll have to address. So at 5:05, we'll have our SEC basketball tiers. You can give us yours at 573-875-KTGR. Also, we're live on YouTube right now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't already. It's at KTGR Sports. We're also live on Facebook, facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Some hoops updates. Dennis Gates said today that center Sean Phillips Jr., after tweaking his ankle in the game on Saturday against Mississippi State, he has been practicing. He's been fully available to practice since then, so it should lead to all signs pointing to him being available for this upcoming Saturday's game at South Carolina, as the Tigers have not played since that last Mississippi State game. They've been off in the midweek. We'll try to start the second half of the SEC schedule on a high note as they visit the Gamecocks at noon on Saturday. Mizzou women's basketball going for 3 straight SEC wins. They're in Fayetteville tonight taking on Arkansas. 6:30 tip. You can hear it on KTGR a little bit after we're done. They've already beaten Arkansas by 35 points when they came here to Columbia. Now Tigers trying to go 2-0 against them. That's the Big Show's big deal on this 5th day of February 2026. You can give us a call or text at 573-875-KTGR to join us here on the show, and we'll talk some hoops in a bit, obviously, but still Super Bowl time, so we got to get some over-unders in. And this is always a lot of fun how this could go. Get you ready for your prop bets, probably. So many to choose from. I mean, I don't even know how we can fit it into one segment, the intriguing over-unders that we can throw out there for this game.
Yeah, I mean, you've got your standard player props that are pretty commonplace now throughout the industry for just about every NFL game. But you've also now got, for the Super Bowl, there's always the novelty props, the pages and pages of options that aren't normally there that you can decide to, throw your money at if you're so inclined. Everybody loves the coin toss. Do you have a prediction? Over, under the coin landing? I don't really know how to ask.
How do we do
question.
that one? I don't know.
I don't really know how to ask that question.
Over, under the letter of the alphabet of the team that's that wins the coin toss. Is it over or under? Q.
Yeah. That does make reference. That style of prop makes reference to one of my favorites, which is the over-under on the uniform number of the first touchdown.
Oh, that's
scorer.
great.
I know that they have that one every single year, and I'm trying to find here where the line is. I'm sure it has to be higher than, like, Drake May's 10, but would it also need to be higher than, like, JSN's 11, or does it need to be kind of splitting the difference there, 10.5? I'm going to search for that and see if I can't come up with something, because that's a fun one always. You can think about, okay, here we go. Jersey number. It is 10.5, but the juice is on the over. Minus 160 on over 10.5, plus 120 on under 10.5 on the uniform number.
I mean, That could very easily be Kenneth Walker, though. So, and that's
for
9,
sure.
right?
He's the shortest odds, I think, for the first touchdown scorer. I think he's like plus 350. So you're going to get him in the same boat. You get Drake May on the other side in the same boat. You'll get Cooper Kupp, number 10, in that conversation as well. I'm trying to think of some other pick. Diggs is a single-digit number, so Stephon Diggs would be applicable for the under there.
And you said the under is plus money?
The under 10.5 is the plus money option. It's technically the underdog because you've got a ton of options on the over. You got Hunter Henry, you got Mac Hollins, you got the lead running back for the Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson is 38. Rashid Shaheed could put a stop to it before you even play an offensive snap if he returns the opening kick for a touchdown, as he's capable of doing. He's number 22. Most defensive players are going to be the over on that for the most part. You get Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte on the under, number 3 and 9, respectively. There's a lot of names on that over side. AJ Barner, I kind of like AJ Barner first touchdown. The odds were plus 1,200 yesterday, and I got a little boost for that, so I did play AJ Barner as the first touchdown. But that's long shot to nail the exact name. In this case, you just got to say higher or lower than 10.5. What do you like? Do you think
I like under? Over? I like under on that, actually.
I think that's probably right for me as well. I'm thinking May's going to run in a touchdown in this Super Bowl. I'm thinking Ken Walker's certainly viable. I think the Seahawks are going to win the game and do so handily based on my minus 4.5 bet that I placed. So if that's the case, you're figuring more likely than not Seattle would be the team scoring, and their most likely touchdown scorer is number 9 himself. So yeah, I don't think it's any more complicated than that. A lot of options on over, but the names that I really think could be scoring that first touchdown could be under. So I kind of do like under just in terms of a coin flip type of bet where the odds are not as a coin flip. As you said, under's got some fun juice to it, plus 120.
Yeah, I think that's the part that kind of pushes me over the edge because I think the options might be fairly similar, but if you get the under on that, you get a little more value. So I would say on that part, probably go there. Let's go to passing yards. Drake May is at over or under 221.5. Sam Darnold's at 228.5.
Man, it could be that defensive struggle of a Super Bowl. I think I also placed a bet on the under when the number was like 46.5, lamenting that it wasn't 47 because that's one of those key numbers that Rob Vino talks about. But I think it's since gone down to like 45.5. I don't know necessarily that this is going to be the type of Super Bowl where they're throwing back and forth for big totals, but these aren't crazy numbers. Both of these are below the season average for these quarterbacks. Drake May is at 246 per game, and he only needs to get to 25 fewer than that. Darnold, 237 per game, needs to get to 230. I think both teams are going to want to run the football, though. I just don't know how successful either team will be at doing so. I'm still going to say, for me, I lean under. I don't probably intend to bet either of these in reality because first of all, I lean under, but I don't want to be sitting there seeing the bombs down the field and lamenting that I've got the under on these. Like, it's a Super Bowl.
Well, right, yeah.
Life's too short to bet under on these passing yards, but I do think that's probably the side that I would align with more so, just because I think they're going to both want to run the ball. That could limit possessions, even if they don't succeed. Andy, Ramondre Stevenson, 1st and 10, runs for 2.5 yards, 35 seconds tick off the clock. You know, you do it again, or you run a quick screen that's 5 yards. Okay, 30 seconds tick off the clock. I feel as though that's going to be. This could be one of those Super Bowls where we look up and we go, whoa, where'd the first quarter go? And that's kind of the reason that I would say under on these yardage. Do you like one more than the other to get over?
I don't think so. I think it's the type of game where either both of them do or neither of them do. I genuinely believe that because if it's close, regardless of what the score is, I mean, maybe it matters a little bit because it would indicate how both teams have moved the football, but I could see a real catch up in the fourth quarter for both quarterbacks if it's a one possession game throughout. And because they do have an ability to run a 2-minute offense pretty well. So I actually like if it's getting low and maybe you're thinking like you maybe get in the middle of the game and you're foreseeing that there's going to be a tight finish here midway through the third quarter or something like that, and maybe both quarterbacks haven't quite been up to snuff, maybe the best thing is to just do that one live and just wait and see, like, how's the game going to look? And then if you do, then if it continues that way and nobody really extends out, then you go on the over for both of them, because I think they're going to be really on point if in fact they need to be for their respective teams. So I don't like doing it before the game, but if it's still a close one, then I would think about doing it in the middle of the game if you have the ability to do it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair because it could be one of those slow starting games where you see a couple of punts to begin. I wonder if that's a bet you can make on those kind of opening drive results. I think the first drive being a punt certainly could be a possibility. These are two really good defenses. They're two offenses that are super capable as well, but I just feel like that number at 45.5 is going to be pretty accurate. You're going to get like a 24-20 type of game where it goes a little bit under that, or you're going to get, 27-20 where it goes a little bit over that, but it's going to be in that range. And so with that, you're going to have plenty of punts that are involved. I don't think I want to be the type of person to bet the punts, but I think you'll definitely see some, because both of these coaches are going to have to value that field control. 7.5 is the line on total punts in the game. What do you think about that?
This becomes a bit of a numbers game. Like if you think that there's going to be a defensive struggle, that generally means more possessions, right?
Yeah.
I would like over. I would think so.
The only question is, like, if you're getting to midfield and it's 4th and 1, how do both, like, I feel like the way one coach starts to handle that is the way the other will. If one's going to go aggressive, the other may, but if it's a staring contest, you could get everybody punting in this game, and that would lead to some longer fields where you've got to chew up some yardage just to get into that zone where you would decide whether or not to punt again. I don't know. These are props that I think are interesting, but they're not ones that I can see myself betting on the punt thing, because I think that's a pretty good number, honestly, 7.5.
Yeah, 875 KTGR going over unders for the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. Give us yours at 875-5847. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 93.5 receiving yards.
I can't possibly take under on this, but like, you'll kind of know, I think, in the first half whether this has a real chance or not. If he's getting peppered, he might get there by halftime again. If not, it's going to be one of those slogs of a game. If I bet it, it will be over, but it's a big number. But if you had that attitude in the NFC Championship game for him and Puka Nacua, you were out in the cold wishing you had participated, because both of them were easily over their numbers around 100 yards or so. Big line, but yeah, I'm going to say if you're the Seahawks and you get to the Super Bowl and you're not trying to funnel your offense through this guy, you're doing something wrong. Yeah, the Patriots will try to take him away. I just can't imagine that Seattle would allow it. I mean, they've got to be able to get him involved.
Fascinated by the matchup. They'll put Christian Gonzalez on him, right? And that'll be what we're watching all game long. I agree with you that it could be that type of game that very early gets there. I wonder what that does to everybody else, because then the next highest over-under on receiving for either team is Stephon Diggs at 43.5. That's less than half the total that we're trying to weigh in on. That's for
crazy.
JSN. It is crazy.
I see him at 46, 45.5, so it's going to vary, but mid-40s for the second most prominent pass catcher in the game is nuts. And I don't look at that Diggs number and think I like it all that much, to be honest with you.
Like, someone's got to catch the passes, right?
Yeah, but I just don't know that it has to be him necessarily. I like Hunter Henry, probably.
Hunter Henry's at 39.5, yeah.
That's more my speed, I think, when it comes to receiving. I don't know that it's played out always this way in the playoffs, but Seattle and the Patriots, honestly, I think both tight ends could have a chance here, because I recall that these teams a little more favorable to tight end production during the season. The Patriots gave up 971 yards. This is just during the regular season, which ranks, nothing crazy, but top top 15, top half for sure. And the Seahawks were even more generous. Seahawks do really well against receivers. That's why I just don't really think the Diggs angle. But 1,080 yards, the sixth most in the NFL this season to specifically tight ends, and 105 receptions was the fifth most to tight ends. So I feel like that's your young quarterback in the Super Bowl. Hunter Henry, to me, is the guy that the Patriots are going to look to get involved. And so I would say over on his 39.5 as my favorite. You say, who's going to catch the ball for the Patriots? It's him, and to me, it's the running backs. Ramondre Stevenson's going to get some targets. And I keep saying I'm not going to do it, but the game is a few days away here, and I'm still thinking about Travion Henderson in my sleep. The idea that he would get a target and would take it for a lot of yards if they just give him a chance. So
do rushing plus receiving on him, maybe, right?
You could, because the line is still going to be low. But if you can identify which one, like if he's going to break a play, like a 40, 50-yard play, if you can identify which one, that's where the money's made, because the odds on either his rushing or his receiving, especially his receiving, I think his receiving yardage is like 3.5. Like if I'm betting it, it's me betting the over and probably not even messing with the 3.5. It's me going with an alternative to like 15 yards, 25 receiving yards. I think, again, it takes one play to do it. He may not get the play. He might have 4 snaps like he did in the AFC Championship game. But what happens if Ramondre gets banged up for a series or something, and they have little other choice than to go to Travion Henderson? They want to run the football. They can have the opportunity, I think, against Seattle, who gives up, again, this is just a regular season stat. The playoffs are not added into this. 640 receiving yards against running backs was 7th most in the league. Seattle Seahawks gave up the most receptions in the NFL to running backs this season, 97 receptions in 17 games. I would say both running backs for the Patriots, I'll be probably sprinkling them to catch the ball. Maybe that defense shuts them down and they don't give up big yardage on those, plays where the running backs leak out. But 2.5 receptions on an alternate line for Travion Henderson would be big time odds, I think, because he just doesn't play. And so you're not really expecting it to go well, but on the off chance it does, I'm talking myself into it, and I know it's going to lead
you've done it. You've done it already.
I know what's going to happen. It's going to lead to Super Bowl disappointment for Brendan, but why not go back to the well one last time and lose my $5 the same way as I have pretty much every week on this player? One more time is probably the way I'm going to go down swinging.
And then you'll trade away Travion Henderson in all your leagues next year and do that.
It's interesting. I mean, when you look at early best ball rankings for next season, he goes earlier than Ramondre Stevenson. It's like the fantasy football community is desperate for him to be the choice there in New England. But when you got this far and you're in the Super Bowl doing it the other way, I don't think they're going to change it necessarily by choice. But if that first carry goes for a big gainer, then maybe that will be the thing that allows, imagine it's kind of a plodding first quarter, back and forth, 2 punts, Ramondre's getting stuffed at the line, and then you get that one moment for Henderson, and boom, 8-yard gain. Oh, wait a minute. Boom, 7-yard gain. Holy smokes. Gives the spark. Like, that's what you're hoping for if you're getting involved in his props. But I'll be doing it. I think I'm going to bet over on some Travion Henderson stuff and let that be the last lesson I needed to learn this year.
875 KTGR. Give us your over-unders for this Super Bowl coming up on Sunday between the Patriots and the Seahawks. 573-875-5847.
Can I talk about another running back that it's going to get even probably grosser than Travion Henderson?
Please.
The Seattle Seahawks don't trust Ken Walker to just play the whole game. We saw this in their NFC Championship. George Holani is going to be on the field. And so for a guy who, I don't know what the snap percentage will be, but he will play. His receiving yardage line, receiving is 11.5. And we saw him smash that in the last game that he played without Zach Charbonnet back there. His rushing line is 10.5. So I could see both of those going over. I mean, you get 2 good runs, you're over 11 yards. So I like George Holani stuff as well. I think it's a tight ends and running backs type of game. Add in some JSN. Pick your poison. Like, I prefer Kayshon Boutte because it takes one long throw and he's got 40 yards racked up compared to Diggs. I think is just a little bit more that possession receiver at this point. Booty, Mac Hollins maybe takes a deep route. You might even get a Pop Douglas mention, but I think all the lower rated guys on the Patriots are the ones that could end up getting to their props just because they don't have very high numbers to gain. When your best receiver Diggs is at 45, the other guys should, you get 2 catches for 23 for half the receivers on the team. That's probably enough to get their props.
875-5847 to call or text us. Over under 2.5 total takeaways.
I'll go under. I think
Really?
I think there'll be a couple, but I don't think it's going to be like you get to over 2.5. Suddenly that's where you sit back and go, oh my gosh, what a game. It's just the defense is balling out. Like, I think there'll be some of that, but not a ton. I'll go 2 exactly.
Oh, 2 exact. Yeah. Okay.
You like the over? You like these defenses?
I think I do.
Okay.
But maybe you're making me rethink it. I don't know. I just think both teams are really good at it and probably will give the either quarterback fits once or twice.
I think both guys throw a pick. That's the way I see it.
Okay.
You're going to get a pick from each.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that. 875-5847 if you want to call or text us with your own Super Bowl over-unders as we get closer to the big game this Sunday. We'll also ask the thoughts of Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV when he joins us next live from the Bay Area to get his thoughts on the game and maybe even a little bit of Chiefs talk as the offseason officially starts next week for everybody. Matt Hamilton joins us next here on The Big Show, KTGR.
Follow The Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
Welcome to every gym in January. Membership prices, crazy high. Crowds, even worse. All just to wait in line for a bench. Or, hear me out, you could build your own home gym from Play It Again Sports. Free weights, dumbbells, plates, treadmills, ellipticals, benches, racks, and more. New and used. At prices that don't feel like a crime. No crowds, no monthly fees, no awkward eye contact with Chad curling on the squat rack. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first so you don't finish last. PlayItAgainSportsColumbiaMo.com.
Leland, why do you have this dusty old chain on your dresser? You never even wear it.
Well, I might wear it again, Rainey, someday.
You need to take it into Bet's Jewelers Trade-In Days.
True. Necklace dust got me. When is Trade-In Days?
February 10th through 14th. Let's go together. Can trade your Valentine for me.
But if I trade it, my new jewelry might be free?
Yep. Happy Valentine's Day, bro.
Bet's Jewelers Trade-In Days, February 10th through 14th.
Beautiful moments begin at Best. Begin at Best.
You're a merchant of all things that are man. Firearms, fishing, cars, food, sports. Yeah, the kind of stuff every man always needs more of. So show it off at the Mecca of Man, the 2026 Como Man Show, Saturday, March 14th at the Northeast Event Center where the Boone County Fair is held. It's the best and most fun way to show every man they need what you got. Seriously, by showing them. Bring your best stuff, show it off, and have a blast. For more info on being a vendor at the Man Show, go to ComoManShow.com.
Would you care for some nightmare fuel? It's 5 a.m., and while you're still shaking off the cobwebs from the previous night's snooze, something else is lurking in another web. Time for a shower. Reach down to start the water, and it's a spider. 8 eyes watching you, and now 8 legs coming right for you. You know what you need? 5 stars. Not like throwing stars, although to be fair, you'd use just about anything to kill that dastardly shower spider. All you need is a 5-star service plan from Steve's Pest Control. Steve scares the life out of pests. Oh, who are we kidding? Steve and his team don't scare them, they kill them. All of them. And because your fear of spiders, wasps, termites, and other insects is very real, Steve's is here to let you know that he and his team are real too. They're not some corporate conglomerate. They're legendary, local, and 100% real.
Hi, I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problem. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
It was 1 p.m. on a Monday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing and Restoration answered the call. It was a panicked family with a mouse problem. Well, a mouse/plumbing problem. Their toilet was more backed up than the connector at 63 and I-70. But Brian's team eventually plucked out the problem. It was a mouse, but like the computer kind, which the family then asked if they could keep afterwards. We didn't ask why. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
Another winter inside. Looking at the snow in your yard that you can't write your name in because you didn't order your new deck from Crutch's Custom Exteriors in time. Don't look ahead to spring cleaning. You're ready for spring peeing and April showers with Freedom Stream powers off your new Crutch's deck. They can build your pee platform in the winter so it's ready for you to splash your autograph in any springtime snow that's left. CrutchesCustomExteriors.com. True beauty is on the outside.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Well, Super Bowl week is nearing an end. We're getting closer to the actual game soon. So excited about that. You can text in over-unders that you want us to weigh in on for the game. 573-875-KTGR here on the Big Show with Andy and Brendan. And every year during Super Bowl week, we love to check in with our friend who is on the ground at the Super Bowl pretty much every year with his role at FanDuel TV and Up and Adams. And it's our good friend, Matt Hamilton, joining us now on the Big Show. And this is, wow, the music needs to go away. Come on. Where are you in the Bay Area, first of all? We want to get that clear first off.
Hey guys, I'm in San Francisco. Awesome to join you. Love this yearly tradition. Glad we were able to make it work. But yeah, I'm here in San Francisco, just around the corner from Media Row. Just left there. It was an absolute zoo today. There were snakes, there were dinosaurs, there were giant Pop-Tarts. We interviewed Martha Stewart, which was not something I was expecting. So it is, it's really something here this year.
Wait. Is the Pop-Tarts, or is the Pop-Tarts Bowl rating all of a sudden?
It is infiltrating. I feel like the Super Bowl may just turn into the Pop-Tarts Bowl. So it'll replace the Lombardi with the edible Pop-Tarts mascot. We'll see.
I do think we need that. You've had a bunch of loaded days on Up and Adams. It really is like a marathon for not only your show, but I mean so many others. But it just, how has it been this week, getting just everybody in over the last few to take in this type of Super Bowl?
It's been a whirlwind. It's been fun though. It's been so much fun. Just guest after guest after guest. We've been lucky enough to have a great lineup. Lucky enough to have Gronk sit with us for 45 minutes yesterday and go through some of those guest segments with us. It's always an incredible experience here at the Super Bowl for us, but this one's been extra special. I think we've done like 9 shows worth of guests, like 9 of our typical shows worth of guests in the last 3 days alone, which is pretty wild.
One moment that stands out from the week, what would your number one go to if people ask you, hey, how was the Super Bowl? What's the one moment you got to share with them?
Oh man. I guess so far, like the thing that encapsulates the experience best is having Martha Stewart on our set with a animatronic dinosaur screeching at her from the crowd. If that doesn't sum up Media Row, I'm not quite sure what does.
That's Super Bowl week in a nutshell, if you ask me. I don't know what else you need at that point. Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV. You can see Up and Adams with Kay Adams in the mornings on FanDuel TV. They're at the Super Bowl all week. Why don't we talk about the actual game in the Super Bowl? I mean, it's billed as a matchup that leans a little more to the Seahawks side. That however many people are still giving the Patriots a chance. There's still a good amount, but obviously the way that the Seahawks have looked and the way that the Patriots' path to the Super Bowl is maybe viewed as not as tough, maybe leads to that imbalance. Do you see the Patriots providing any more value, though, even through all of that, when they have a few more doubters this time around than maybe they have in past Super Bowls when they had that guy Tom?
Yeah, and I think, you look at it, the Seahawks do have a clear advantage in this game for sure, but there are a couple of areas I think that do favor the Patriots. And this Nick Emanwari news is a massive, massive deal because it goes beyond just what he does as a player and what a good player he is. He's kind of the key to how they're able to play their defense, because they stay in nickel and dime no matter what personnel you put out, because he's essentially a linebacker for you and a safety and a slot corner. And if you don't have him, you have to change the structure of your defense then at that point if you're Seattle. So this is a massive, massive deal beyond just losing a good player if he's not able to go with that ankle. And I think that's where you saw, like, the one team we saw have consistent success against that defense, where it was the Rams. And you look at the last two matchups, the Rams had 96 plays with multiple tight ends on the field. The Seahawks stayed in nickel and dime for all 96 of those plays, and the Rams averaged 8 yards a play. And I think the Patriots are a team with the tight ends that they have with Hunter Henry, with Austin Hooper. They can utilize multiple tight ends effectively. And I would expect Josh McDaniels, obviously we know his track record with that. They haven't used it as much this year, but I think we see them try to exploit that. Even if Nick Emanwari is out there, I think we see a lot of 12 personnel from the Patriots, and it could give them a big advantage in this game.
We were just doing a props segment, and I mentioned Hunter Henry, I feel like, is my guy. So I like hearing that. We'll see if he can end up making an impact. I want to ask from the quarterback angle. We always do this when we kind of do tail of the tape and say, all right, we go position by position group, who's got the advantage. I want to frame the question, though, this way. When it comes to Sam Darnold, Drake May, which quarterback do you trust to have his B game more than the other? I guess the framing is, which quarterback is less likely to cost his team the Super Bowl? Not necessarily who's the better player, but coming into this one, how do you view that question?
I think it is Drake. I feel more confident that he's going to do what he's done, again, the Denver game aside, that he's going to do what he's done the majority of this season. I think the Denver game was a weird game in a lot of ways. Not just the weather being the obvious one, but I think also you look at that Denver pass rush and the Patriots offensive line, it was a horrible matchup for New England. He was under constant pressure. It sped up his clock. And yes, Seattle can get after the quarterback too, but nobody can like Denver. That was a top 5 pass rush in NFL history by every measure that Denver had. So I think that had a lot to do with it. I think people knock him for the Texans game. Listen, he threw 3 touchdowns on another historically great defense in that game. Yes, he was a little loose with the ball sometimes in that, in those slippery conditions, but I thought he played fairly well overall in that game. And listen, he's an MVP finalist for a reason. He was so consistent. He was probably the most consistent quarterback week to week during the regular season. Right? We didn't see a lot of big games. He only had the one 300-yard game, but every other game was solid all the way through. With Darnold, as well as he's played, the one thing we've seen from him consistently throughout the year, he leads the league in turnovers. He will give you a couple chances, especially if you can get to him early. We've seen games where he gets rattled early and makes some inexplicable decisions. So, not saying that's going to happen, but the potential is always there for that. Whereas Drake May's floor has been pretty steady outside of this last game against Denver.
Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. With the circumstances surrounding both running back rooms, that the Seahawks lost a big piece in Zach Charbonnet not too long ago, and with the Patriots, with Ramondre Stevenson, certainly probably a part of their future, but it seems usage has really dwindled down for him recently. How much stress does that put on Kenneth Walker and Ramondre Stevenson, 2 running backs that look, that they may not either of them be considered top 10 running backs right now, but they're going to be pretty important in both of their offenses?
Yeah, and I think with Kenneth Walker specifically, I feel like this played out well. It's going to sound weird because you never want to lose a player, and especially Charbonnet is pretty good, but that split kind of preserved Kenneth Walker a little bit more. You saw him finally not miss a game with an injury this year, and I do think part of that was because he didn't have the same wear and tear on him with that pretty much a 50-50 split with Charbonnet. But I also think he is a guy that he is better when you give him the ball more, like when you have him in the rhythm of the game consistently. And that's what we've seen in these playoffs. He's got fresher legs because he wasn't relied on that way all year. And, he just wears away at a defense because he's so strong. He's so shifty. I do think, we're going to see him have a solid game. Ramondre is interesting. I think I would like to see them utilize Travion a little bit more. As good as Ramondre has been down the stretch, Travion does give you a little bit more explosiveness, but both guys can catch the ball. I do think we see a fair amount of Ramondre in the passing game. I think that's something, because you think about a back as big and strong as he is and powerful and kind of a bruiser. He's a much more talented pass catcher than I think he gets credit for. I would like to see them lean on those running backs a little bit more in the passing game, because I think that's where they have a little bit of an advantage. It's going to be really hard. Their wide receivers against the Seahawks corners, it is a clear advantage to the Seahawks corners.
I want to get your thought on kind of this coaching matchup between two coaches that are relatively fresh in their roles, but obviously have their respective systems really rolling right now. Do you side one way or the other in terms of the way that these two might X's and O's against one another?
That's a great question, and it's a tough one, because I think we really do have some great coaches from an X and O standpoint, especially when you factor Josh McDaniels into that equation and what he's been able to do this year. So I think it's a push from that standpoint based on what I've seen so far, with maybe a slight edge to the Patriots, I think, because of McDaniels, because of his experience in these games, and because of his adaptability. Giving him 2 weeks to prepare for the Seahawks defense, like I said, you know what they're going to do, at least from a personnel standpoint. And I think giving him 2 weeks to prepare for that, I guess I'd give a slight advantage to McDaniels, but I do think both these coaching staffs are tremendous.
Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV here on the Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. We tried taking our shot on this yesterday. You had to pick a non-quarterback to be MVP. Who would it be?
I know the easy answer is JSN, I would say, because, you look at it, if Darnold turns the ball over a couple times and JSN has a big game, he's got a great shot to do it. I also like a kind of more off the wall pick. If you think about Rashid Shaheed and what he's done for this team since the trade deadline, there's a big play in every game. And if he makes a couple plays offensively and has a punt return or kick return touchdown, like, we could see that Desmond Howard path for him. So yeah, JSN is if you want to do a safer non-quarterback MVP, JSN would be my choice. But if you want to go with a little more of a long shot, that I see a path for Shaheed to potentially get it done, as much of a long shot as it is.
It is very interesting. We'll see how that goes. All right. What's your score prediction for Sunday?
I'm going to say 24-21 Seattle.
Oh, man. So no cover. No cover there.
No, it's just a bad line. I know it's a bad line. 4.5 is not where you want to be. And the Patriots are a really good team, so they're probably going to keep it close. I did bet Seattle, though, Matt, and it's like ever since I did, I'm going, all right, I'm talking myself into the way that it's not going to work out for me at 4.5.
Yeah, I think, this overwhelming fan, and I do, again, the Seahawks, I think, are such a complete team, and I think when you really look at it by every measure, when you dive into the numbers, like, they're one of the most complete teams we've seen in this league, really in the entire Super Bowl era, which is crazy to think about. At least, from a numbers perspective, from what they've done all year, the scoring margin, all that stuff, point differential, all of it. It's they've been so good, but this Patriots team is better than I think they get credit for too. I think, like, there's so much made of the schedule stuff. There's so much, I feel like it's almost been a reaction of, like, people don't want to see the Patriots to be good again, and it's hard for people to look at objectively. And, like, everybody kind of dismissed them all year because they figured they were going to lose at some point in the playoffs. And now that they're actually here, it's like, let's pick them apart and dismantle them every way that we can. And they're not a perfect team, but they're damn good. They're a damn good team. And I think they keep this thing close.
Yeah. I've been waiting for it too. It's like, someone's got to pick them off at some point. It hasn't happened yet. Before we go, how about a little Chiefs talk? I mean, their off season started a lot earlier than we expected it to. The main move that we've seen so far involves the coaching staff. I mean, it seems there's been a lot of overhaul at several places. When you kind of go down the list of, like, position coaches, analysts, things like that. But the main one is that Eric Bieniemy is back. I just wonder how you view that situation with him getting a second stint to be the OC. lots been made about what his relationship might have been with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and whatever. I just wonder your take on that whole situation now that he's back.
Hey, listen, I know there are a lot of Chiefs fans that wanted a more of a departure, like some fresh ideas outside of Andy's scheme. But I gotta say, like, I have to say, I like it. I think it's going to be a good thing for this team. I think, and again, we know Andy's going to be calling the plays regardless, and Andy's going to do what he wants to do regardless. But you bring somebody into the building who I think does push back, which again has maybe caused some friction at times with some players and coaches. But I think ultimately he has the respect of those players and coaches as well. And I think it's important to have somebody in the room that's going to push back a little bit, that is going to be, demanding of the players. Not saying that other coaches aren't, but we know that Eric will be. And I think more importantly than any of that, he's not gonna allow this run game to be what it's been the last 2 years. And I think they got away with it in 2024, having a just completely non-existent run game. This past year they didn't. And you can't just put everything on Patrick Mahomes to have to bail you out of every situation. This has been the worst run game in the league by every measure for 2 years now, and he's not going to stand for that. And it's going to mean an upgrade in personnel. But he's also, I mean, we've seen it. He gets the absolute best out of whatever you have back there, whether it's Damian Williams, whether it's Darrell Williams, whether it's you run through the running backs that they had under that Bieniemy tenure. And they had guys who were, third string running backs on other teams, and they were a middle of the pack run game. So you get somebody in here who's got some juice to him. He could really overhaul this run game in a hurry because the offensive line is there. They just have to figure out this running back room, and I think Eric Bieniemy is going to be a big part of helping fix that.
It'll be fascinating. And then also with the looming Travis Kelce decision, like at first we thought he's probably gone, right? He's probably retiring. I guess there's maybe a little more question as to whether that's going to happen this time around. But just even then, it seems that there still needs to be maybe a shifting away from him being the focal point, regardless of whether he's there or not. I just wonder the dynamic also that let's say he is back, that they still maybe need to shift power to a different pass catching regime, if you will.
Yeah, and it's gonna be fascinating to see how they handle this offseason, because they have a bunch of need that they have to fill. And with Rashee Rice, whatever the heck is going on there, you can't just count on that. I still have a lot of faith in Xavier Worthy, but he can't be that guy you go to as often as Mahomes went to Kelce. So they need to find that consistently reliable piece. They need, as we talked about, the run game. They have to fix that. And I think they need some major work on the defensive line. They need depth in the interior, and they need to get an edge rusher. So you look at that 9th overall pick, there are a lot of different ways they can go. I kind of lean edge rusher there. Obviously, we're going to see how everything plays out. Like if a Ruben Bain is there, it's hard to pass that up. But I could see them going wide receiver there. If Jeremiah Love is there, I could see them entertaining that. There are going to be a lot of fun options for the Chiefs that I'm sure we'll dig into as we get closer to draft. But yeah, I think a pass catcher is going to be up there, even though I do think they have a lot of depth in that room. You're right. Like they need that reliable go-to guy, whether Travis plays or not. You need somebody who can eventually turn into that guy for you.
Yeah, it'll be very fascinating. And of course, we're getting closer and closer to the draft, and we'll be talking more about that in the weeks to come after Super Bowl weekends. Can't thank you enough, Matt, for joining us here from San Francisco, taking time out of your very busy schedule to chop it up with us, and take care of the rest of the week. Hope all goes well, safe travels and everything. And well, be sure to get at least a little bit of sleep, right?
I'll do my best. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely. Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV here on the Big Show, KTGR. Great to have him. I at least love that they didn't put his FanDuel TV set on Alcatraz like they're doing with some of the NBC crew. They're actually doing that. Yes. Jack Collinsworth and had Collinsworth and who is it? Rodney Harrison, Tony Dungy, how they're separate from the rest of the studio crew. Yeah, they're sticking Collinsworth, Dungy, and Harrison over in Alcatraz for the game beforehand. That's true. That's real.
Why? I'm reading about it now.
It's me.
This headline says NBC makes significant decision on Super Bowl broadcast. Yeah, I would say
That's significant.
That's noteworthy.
I'd say so.
What was the thought process there? Like, hey, nobody's going to bother us here.
Were they looking for a lively atmosphere?
Nobody's going to bother us over here. What a weird deal there. Well, but you know what? Now I'm thinking I got to tune in. I'm thinking I got to check it out.
It just got. Want to see Alcatraz Island in all its glory, I suppose.
Glory, I guess, if that's the word.
I don't know.
It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah. Anyway, Under the Bus coming up next. Maybe to that, but also to a landmark ARB case in Major League Baseball that the Detroit Tigers were on the wrong end of. That's next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to Lee'sTireCompany.com. Earlier today, Mizzou men's basketball coach Dennis Gates said that Sean Phillips Jr. has been practicing and has been fully available for the Tigers workouts since tweaking his ankle in the Mississippi State game last Saturday. All signs would point to him being available for the Tigers' next game, which will be Saturday at noon against the South Carolina Gamecocks. Mizzou trying to improve to 6-4 in SEC play with a win there. Coverage will begin at 11:30 on Saturday for that game right here on KTGR. Mizzou women's basketball plays tonight, 6:30 tip-off at Arkansas as the Tigers go for their third straight win in conference. They beat Arkansas by 35 points earlier in the year, and since then have had back-to-back wins last week against Mississippi State and Texas A&M. Coverage begins for Mizzou Women's Hoops tonight at 6:15 on KTGR. And Mizzou softball opens their season tomorrow in the NFCA first pitch leadoff classic. Tigers take on Penn State tomorrow at 9 a.m. in Clearwater, Florida, and then at noon they'll take on number 5 Oregon. Now your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast.
Midway Electric presents the High School Sports Power Play of the Week.
Drives inside, shot blocked away by Jada Porter with the stuff on Jones. Throws it up the floor to Higgins. And she'll fan out, give over to Fick. Then right side over Cora Smith. Wants a three and cans it for good measure. Bruins extend the lead by 16.
That's the Power Play of the Week with Midway Electric. Powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
Okay, the limb is hanging over the driveway. I need this pruned.
Oh, call the electrician.
An electrician?
Yeah, or maybe your HVAC guy.
You've officially lost it. I need an expert in the right field.
Fine. Call that lawn company. They mow and prune.
Yeah, they also scalped your yard last summer.
When it comes to trees, trust the experts who actually know trees. Ones that are trained and educated for pruning, planting, and removals done right. Call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com. Step into a real-life snow globe with Zimmer Communications and Colette Travel on this 9-day European vacation. Stroll Prague, Dresden, Vienna, and Budapest. From castles and cathedrals to twinkling market stalls. Sip warm Glühwein, shop handcrafted gifts, and even visit a family-run candy workshop. Learn more by joining us in Colette Travel Tuesday, March 17th at 5:30 at Courtyard Marriott Columbia on Lamone Industrial Boulevard. RSVP today at ZimmerCommunications.com.
Hey y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. And this Sunday, the Superb Owl is back. Who will you be rooting for? At Billiards, we've had a burger called the Love Story for years. And it's so good, it'll turn your head. It would be wise to come and watch the Superb Owl at Billiards on Sunday.
Boogie on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
Your foresight is so good, you can practically see into the future. But fortune telling isn't the career path you want to take. Instead of predicting people's futures, you can help build them at Fuse 32. Because you recognize things before they can even become problems. You love the thrill of success and getting paid for it. All that's left to do now is look into that crystal ball and see yourself on the sales team at Fuse 32. There's nothing we can't do. Apply now at Fuse32.com.
Hi, we're Midway Electric. Late winter is the smart time to take a look at your electrical system before spring projects and new power demands put extra strain on it. If your panel is outdated, breakers trip often, or you're planning major upgrades, now is the time to make sure your system is ready. From panel upgrades and repairs to efficient lighting and future-ready electrical solutions, Midway Electric helps keep homes and businesses safe, reliable, and prepared for what's next. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at APIProjectFitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
This was a landmark arbitration case in Major League Baseball. This is the furthest apart that any team and player had been going to a hearing. Tarek Skubal wanted $32 million. The Tigers only wanted to pay him $19 million. Skubal won today. He gets $32 million this year.
Yeah, I think this was just idiotic by Detroit to file at 19. Like, you don't know going in what the player's side is going to file at. You don't know that until you see the numbers come out. We've been negotiating, presumably, with them on trying to avoid arbitration. And, like, I think their greed over not offering a record deal for arbitration, like $22 million, $24 million, $25 million. I think that costs them the full 13 because they file at 19. That wouldn't have even been a record. I think Vlad Jr. had 19.1.
Yeah.
You file at 25 and they file at 32. I think the ARB panel goes, okay, 25 is a pretty good record. I mean, it shatters the previous one. We're going to go with the 25. But I feel like the panel had to look at the Tigers and say, what do you want us to do? You said 19. He's 2-time Cy Young. Yeah, he could have said 50 and probably would have won. If you're going to file at 19, give me a break, because they got to pick one or the other once you go to that hearing. So that I just think the Tigers bungled it. I don't know really what the thought process was there.
I agree. Tigers need to pay him now, and they just spent a bunch of money to Framber Valdez and like all that.
That's an indicator that they might trade Skubal because they're like, holy smokes, like we didn't think we'd have to pay him that. But then again, why would you do that if you paid $38 a year to Framber Valdez?
Yeah.
Who I am shocked. I saw that number for him last night and I was shocked that he got that much. Not that he's not a really good pitcher, but there was that controversy where he kind of crossed up his catcher. And I think a lot of people, I thought people were looking at him going, man, what kind of guy are we bringing into our clubhouse? I guess the Tigers, who, are pinching pennies with the best pitcher in baseball, with Skubal or like with or Framber, for instance, they go, whatever, $115 million, no problem. It's very weird.
Yeah, it was odd to me. But either way, they've got an excellent pitching staff there now.
Now they do.
It'll be tough to beat. Under the bus also to Pat Mahomes Sr., arrested for violating probation.
It's Super Bowl week.
Right? Like
it seems like every year his family somebody gets arrested around this time. Don't know what it is, but
what an excellent player that comes from like a not so excellent family, right? It's just,
I mean, it's bizarre that they continue to, whether the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl or not, it seems. For a while it was Jackson, the brother, and the dad's had a couple of run-ins, former MLB pitcher, but I don't really know. It's weird, very bizarre.
So like I wasn't even thinking of the Super Bowl week angle. It's like,
seems like every time around, this year, this time of year, they get in trouble for something.
Key figure in both the Cardinals, one for the Cardinals and one for the Royals, being inducted into different halls of fame, as was announced today. Stubby Clapp is going to go into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame for Cardinal player and now first base coach. Love that for Stubby Clapp. And John Wathan, he's done almost everything for the Royals. Played for them, coached them, managed them, been a broadcaster for them, scout, front office, custodian, probably. I don't know. 47 years with the Royals. Woo. He's going into the Royals Hall of Fame.
Very cool.
How about that? So congrats to John Wathan and Stubby Clapp, some Hall of Famers very soon for the Cardinals and Royals. All right. Got to update our SEC basketball tiers.
Oh, boy.
I predict that we will not move Mizzou anywhere.
That's probably right.
But we should probably move the other teams, I guess, because we're fair and honest just like that. We'll talk at 5:05 about our SEC basketball tiers and on some Mizzou hoops at 5:25. An interesting graphic that evanmaya.com put out about what might really be hindering them this year. That's next.
Paradise doesn't have to be far away. Sometimes it's a quiet walk through a state park. Sometimes it's your favorite takeout and a night in. At Shangri-La, we believe that cannabis belongs in those everyday moments, not as an escape, but as part of living well. That's why we offer 20% off select category every day, plus 20% off store-wide every Sunday. Thoughtful products, honest guidance, real value. Shangri-La, discover paradise. Learn more at ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
This is the year she gets an upgraded diamond, the year that dad finally gets his retirement watch, and the year that your daughter graduates, so you give her the necklace she's always dreamed of. Family Pawn is not your traditional pawn shop, but they are your secret to saving big on stunning jewelry for every occasion. Family Pawn, where you'll find timeless treasures for a fraction of the cost. FamilyPawn.com.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
Word gets around. And at Lee's Tire Company, that's why being around for you is more than just a catchy jingle. It's how they stay part of the community. We took a look and everything seems to be fine. That new set of tires is all you need. That's the Lee's Tire way. No pressure, no suspicious upsells. Just honest work done right. So whether it's tires, brakes, or a quick checkup, trust the shop that's always round for you.
Lee's Tire Company is round for you. Ooh, see Lee's.
You know your favorites. Now it's time to put them on the map. Nominations are open for Inside Columbia Magazine's Best of Columbia 2026. Now through March 1st. Nominate the businesses and places you love, including Best Mexican Food, Best Spa, Best Steak, Best Hairstylist, Best Lawn Care, and more. You can nominate once per day, so come back and support the businesses you love most. Best of Columbia 2026 starts with you. Nominate today at InsideColumbia.net.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Bucks had been listening to offers. Giannis Antetokounmpo was ready to move on, but he's staying put for now. Milwaukee chose to not trade him on this NBA trade deadline day. Once his calf injury is recovered, Giannis does expect to play again this season. He and the Bucks will revisit a potential trade this offseason. So where does everything now stand for Milwaukee? ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst.
You have a team that when Giannis doesn't play is frankly one of the worst teams in the league, and when he does play is 500. And what you really need is your draft pick to improve. So I don't know how you're going to negotiate this with Giannis, but if you've made the decision not to trade for him and your reasoning is that you think you can get good enough through the offseason to get better, the only way forward is to tank the rest of the season, and you can't take when Giannis plays.
Days after trading James Harden to Cleveland, the Clippers added more draft picks to their growing pile of selections after trading Ivica Zubac to the Pacers today. Two-time AL Cy Young Award winner Tarek Skubal won his arbitration, secured a $32 million salary for the 2026 Major League Baseball season instead of the $19 million submitted by the Tigers.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
house.
Bush.
Back to the wall. And it's got her.
And Arrowhead.
Touchdown. Kansas City.
To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
SEC basketball tiers are coming up here in just a matter of moments. I don't really think there's a lot to change about where the Missouri Tigers fall in the one game they have played over the past week, but you never know. Maybe I'll surprise you. We'll get into that momentarily. You can let us know yours by giving us a call or a text at 573-875-KTGR. And then some more Mizzou basketball talk around 525 is maybe this one aspect of the team gets to the bottom of some of the struggles this year and why maybe they're not maxing out their potential. We'll talk about all that and more coming up on the next hour of the program. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
We had our Super Bowl over-unders that we went through earlier in the program. You can check out what we talked about for it on the podcast on KTGR app here in just a little bit. But one that intrigues me the most, jersey number for the first touchdown score. And I got to say, since there's plus money on under 10.5, I kind of like that. Kenneth Walker could do it. Kayshon Boutte could do it. Cooper Kupp, also another possibility. Drake May could run it in. There are a lot of very intriguing candidates for the first touchdown score that are under jersey numbers of 10.5. Yeah, JSN is at 11, and a bunch of other pass catchers are above that too. But I actually, if I had to put money on it, I'd say under on that would be my favorite.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
It appears that Sean Phillips Jr. Won't miss Saturday's game against South Carolina. Dennis Gates appeared to have a positive update on that during his media availability today. Said Phillips was practicing, had an ankle issue come up in about the 16-minute mark of the second half against Mississippi State last Saturday. But good to go for Phillips. Javon Porter still not going to be available. We'll talk a little bit about whether injuries have hindered Mizzou too disproportionately at 525.
Number 3.
Chance for Mizzou women's basketball to get on a real winning streak in SEC play, going for their third straight at Arkansas. Tigers defeated Arkansas by a lot earlier. Arkansas still kind of near the bottom of the SEC standings in women's hoops. So a chance for Kelly Harper's group to really get on a roll. They go and visit Fayetteville for a 6:30 tip-off tonight. Pregame begins right here on KTGR at 6:15, and we'll see if those Tigers can get some momentum heading into the second half of the SEC season.
Number 4.
Oh, it shanked it.
Not really a surprise, but Mizzou baseball was picked to finish last in the SEC baseball preseason poll that was released today. Tigers are coming off a rough year last season, 16-39. And only went 3-27 in SEC play. They start next weekend against Mount St. Mary's in Fort Myers, Florida. Mizzou softball starts tomorrow for 2 games against Penn State and Oregon. Yeah, it's February 5th, and Mizzou softball starts tomorrow. Head coach Larissa Anderson, listen to her words, moves the season back.
Number 5.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
That's right. Jack Collinsworth, Rodney Harrison, and Tony Dungy will be broadcasting from Alcatraz.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
875 KTGR if you want to give us a call or a text here on the show.
So you're saying they're broadcasting from the tennis player? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Knew you would go there. Knew you would go there.
How they would even do that. By the way, we didn't really make mention of him in the Australian Open, but he's him. I mean, he's just he's just really freaking good.
He was also like kind of banged up a little bit trying to get past.
Had to gut through like a hamstring, I think.
Zverev?
In the semifinals.
Zverev, they had to get past in the semis, and then won the whole thing. Yeah, he's the best.
He's the best, and he will go down as the best to ever do it by the time it's
really?
all said and done.
So pass factor.
I've said this every time we talk about this topic. That's my hot take. Is maybe it's not that hot of a take. He's still very early in his career. Djokovic is the guy that he beat. So obviously you're talking about another candidate for that conversation. But yep, Alcatraz is the guy. He's him.
He is the better Alcatraz than the
Carlos Alcaraz, by the way, for the uninitiated.
Yes,
is who we're talking
Still
about.
much better than the island. I'll take.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's I don't know.
Who did Jack
NBC,
Collinsworth piss off to what happened?
Is Tony Dungy going to be there too?
Yeah,
that's
and
another one that's
Rodney Harrison.
I bet Tony Dungy will just be kind of uncomfortable with that. Something I got to tune in. Now I got to see. Now I got to take a peek.
They at least need to have a fan club behind them to bring some people over on the ferry and have a little powwow on Alcatraz. You ever been there?
No, I've been to San Francisco one time and drove by. It was when you get to that bay, it can be very foggy, and I saw that's where Alcatraz is, but it was pretty foggy. You couldn't really see anything.
Yeah, on the wrong day, it's hard to even see the Golden Gate. And all that. I went when I went to San Francisco, we did the little ferry trip over, toured it a little bit. It's not bad, Little.
I don't know. Ask that. Well, never mind.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to speak for anybody else's experience, but
fair enough. Fair enough.
There's that. 875-KTGR. Give us a call or a text on the Super Bowl, on basketball. Let's get to our SEC basketball tiers here coming up as we get into the second half of the SEC season, at least for Mizzou. Some teams have already gotten to that point after the midweek action in the SEC this week. Great game last night. Alabama and Texas A&M right down to the wire. Lead changes, everything like that. A&M led by 6 points with 9-ish minutes to go. That was a very intriguing game, but Alabama ended up prevailing in the end, came back and sealed the deal. So let's update. Who do we got at the top still? It's still Florida, right?
Let me grab it for us. Let me grab last week's.
Still Vanderbilt, I assume, and I think you might have put Alabama there, or did I do that?
I've had Alabama up there
last couple weeks. You're right.
Yeah, I've been pretty consistent with that, and obviously a great, exciting game last night doesn't cause me to change my mindset with that. I know the record; they've taken more losses than some other teams, but they're one of the most dangerous teams in the country. So, are you ready to move them up? Because you had them in a loaded tier 2 of Arkansas, Tennessee, A&M, Bama, Auburn. You move them up this week, Alabama.
Man. Well, what also happened in the last week for them was they got boat raced at
to
Florida.
A team in this tier.
So I'll keep them where they are, and I'm also kind of maybe tempering their upward trajectory a little bit because tomorrow should be the hearing for Charles Bediako, and I'm seeing through some of the news bits on it that it may not be going Alabama's way.
I can't imagine why that would be.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I mean,
but
so valid.
Well, again, Greg Sankey wrote a letter in support of the NCAA's position on this. So
Oates, you are just such a bum.
There's a little more firepower, I think, on the NCAA side now, as there should be.
Nate Oates could have put a stop to this.
He could have. Absolutely.
If he really wanted to.
Yep. So
but he's a schmuck, so he didn't.
Exactly. I think Alabama's still a very good team without Charles Bediako. I don't think they're elite without him.
Okay.
So
I'm still gonna hold them for now, because I think Florida's had its flaws as well. I think Vanderbilt's had its flaws as well. They barely survived Ole Miss, did Vandy. So I mean, I think my top tier is reflective of the fact that the SEC is not what it was last year, and I still think those are the three that are above the rest. Like if I'm going to start scrubbing Arkansas, Tennessee, Auburn, these other teams, I don't really think I am too tempted to put them in the same tier as Florida, Vandy, and Bama. I just think it's almost like we take last year's SEC. Tier 1 is frankly empty, and then tier 2 is those three, and then there's just not that true. One of these teams could win it all, but I would be surprised if the national title winner comes from the SEC this year. Any of those three could make a Final Four, though. I can't really count them out for that.
That's fair. I think that's very possible for that. I'm going to keep mine at Florida and Vanderbilt, and then I'll have the second tier be Alabama, Texas A&M, and then a huge conglomerate of teams, honestly, with all that. Tennessee's here, right?
Tennessee was there for you previously.
Was that it? Arkansas was there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know I had Arkansas. Let me make sure you did as well. Yeah, you had Arkansas, Tennessee, A&M, Bama, Auburn, all 5 in that second tier as of last week. Tennessee got a win over Auburn since we last did these, right? That was this past Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So a good week for Tennessee. I mean, they got that win, but they did get to play 2 home games. Beat Ole Miss pretty soundly. But then you kind of look up, and their only kind of recent slip up was that game against Kentucky where they led pretty heavily and then just gave it up at the end at home. But their last 4 for the Vols is a 6-point road win at Bama, overtime win at Georgia, and then 2 home wins, one of which came against Auburn. The other one's blowing out Ole Miss. So Tennessee maybe kind of separating itself a little bit. Arkansas kind of had a whatever type of week. They lost at home to Kentucky in the Calipari Bowl there. Got the road win that was their only game.
Yeah, it was the loss to Kentucky. So, I mean, I don't know if it's enough to drop them. I still think they're very solid. I think that, I mean, they've beaten a team above them in this. They've beaten Vanderbilt this year. They've beaten Tennessee. I feel like they've got the resume to be in this tier still, despite maybe losing to a team that's below them. Because I don't think Kentucky's in this tier.
Kentucky was not in this tier for you last week, and you're saying you're not moved to add them to what is admittedly a heavy second tier as it is. But they handled Oklahoma last night. That's what you're supposed to do against Oklahoma. Missouri just kind of had to eke it out. But that's a good week for the Wildcats, winning at Arkansas and then getting the home win over Oklahoma by a margin. That's maybe for me where I being a little too punitive against Kentucky. I feel like I'm pretty meh on really trusting Arkansas, but I don't want to be too much of a prisoner of the moment to what's been going on recently with them. I am gonna move up Kentucky.
Okay.
Because I think they're starting to play like they're capable in that win over Arkansas. Anytime you get a road win over a team above you in the tiers, it's kind of like, okay, something's got to give. I'm not going to move Arkansas down, but I am going to say that Kentucky is maybe more similar to the Auburn, Tennessee, Arkansas class than the teams below it, which I got to maybe figure out some things to do with tier 3. I like A&M. They're probably better than I had been giving them credit for. I can even say that after a loss to Bama because of the nature of that game last night. Their other game this week, a 15-point road win over Georgia, and that's where it's like, okay, now we're finding a little bit of separation. You had to play that game on the road, and you win it. Like, that's saying A&M is probably deserving of being above Georgia, but can I get A&M into that tier 2? You had it that way last week. Are you moving anybody from that second tier?
No, I'm not moving A&M. Nothing has told me to move them since then. I just think they don't have a bad SEC loss to this point.
Yeah. No, they don't.
So I think that's deserving of staying exactly where they are. And maybe I was a little too nice to them earlier, but I think they've still kind of proven that they can go on the road and handle business against a team that's below them. And then, again, they're right there with Alabama all night long last night. So I don't think it should be discouraging to have the Aggies below where they are right now. The Kentucky argument is pretty compelling, though, because
they're playing like they're capable.
Yeah.
Finally,
they're starting to put it together. They've won 7 of 8. Only loss was to Vandy. It was a pretty lopsided loss, but on the road, and things will happen with that. I might do it too. I might load up the second tier even more, with just a bunch of teams. I've got like 6 there, don't I? Kentucky
you had
can
5,
join
and
the
if you add
party.
Kentucky, yeah, that would be 6.
Kentucky can join the party. Let's do it.
I don't really think that's unreasonable. I made the same move. My difference is I have Bama in tier 1 to make my tier 2 a little bit smaller, and I'm still going to be a little bit stubborn on Texas A&M, but here's what I'll do for him. I'm going to create an additional tier.
Oh,
it's just
man.
Texas A&M. You're in the waiting room. Texas A&M, you're in the waiting room to be considered legit. I'm almost giving them more credit for the loss last night than the win earlier in the week, which they did really well in that road win. I thought they had a nice week. I'm still not convinced they're quite Kentucky, Auburn, Tennessee, or Arkansas. And like, that's the one where if Mizzou didn't still have 2 games pending against Arkansas, maybe I let Arkansas cozy up with A&M in tier 3 right now. But I just don't think I'm going to overreact to Arkansas's recent kind of middling efforts. Same thing with Auburn. Like, they beat Texas, so you still need to be above Texas if you're Auburn. They lost to Tennessee, and I just really think Tennessee, it's more about Tennessee. So I'm going to not punish Auburn there. My tier 2 is Arkansas, Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky. That's 7 teams in the first 2 tiers. You've got 8. I'm going to say tier 3 is just Texas A&M, because when I look at the teams right behind them, it's Texas and Georgia, and they're actually kind of the same to me. I think those are 2 bubble teams that I believe in Texas more than I believe in Georgia. Time will tell if I'm right about that, but I have to think that the resumes are kind of similar and that the talent level is kind of similar. And so I'm going to put Texas A&M in the you're going to make the NCAA tournament tier. Like, A&M's in, but I still don't know how much I trust you. Not like the other teams above you that I think could make a run to the second weekend or better. A&M, I'm not quite convinced of that yet, but they're going to be in the field. So I'm going to separate them between that second and fourth tier, where below them, Texas and Georgia have some work to do still, I think, to be able to feel safe.
Yeah, I agree that they're on the same tier, and that might be the end of the tier. And then
I can't do it with Mizzou or Ole Miss at this point.
No.
Ole Miss, I can't believe Missouri lost to this team, but they did. So it is what it is. But they did play decently against Vanderbilt in their last loss. But that's Mizzou and Ole Miss is like, for me, it's tier 5. For you, I think it's going to be tier 4.
Yeah.
Because I assume you've just got that Mondo second tier of 6 teams, and then tier 3 for you is Georgia, Texas, as it is for me, and then Mizzou, Ole Miss is the next tier. I just am sandwiching A&M in between tier 2 and 4, whereas you're just kind of keeping everything together.
Yeah, I think that second tier of really strong SEC teams, but they have at least 3 bad days left in them for the rest of the season. And I'm talking like bad days. I think the rest of the year. And you just got to hope that they don't come at the absolute wrong time, which would be March, after March 14th or so.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And then the last tier, did we have all
4?
All in the same tier? Mississippi State, LSU, Oklahoma, South Carolina.
Yeah, and I really feel like I can't do anything differently with these teams. They can beat up on each other. They can do whatever. They're all irrelevant to me in terms of, I mean, in Oklahoma just continues to, that Mizzou win over Oklahoma that was exciting, but it just continues to not age particularly well. They're now 11-12. They lost at home by 10 to their biggest rival, Texas, and then they lost yesterday by 16 at Kentucky. So yeah. Oklahoma's not getting a bump from any of these other. I think there are too many flaws for Mississippi State, LSU. Like, maybe the differential is like, do I even consider Ole Miss to be better than these other teams? But I think for now I do. And so that's kind of where I'm going to land.
None of those 4 teams won a single game over the last week. I think 2 of them had only 1 game, but it was like nothing to even consider moving them up. So, and I think like you could even put another tier in between those teams in the next one, honestly. But
yeah, they're just the bottom of the league this year, which is, maybe Mizzou ends up joining them. I hope not, but it is what it is.
Mizzou's lost to one of those teams.
Yeah. And they lost to the team, Ole Miss, that's in their own tier. So, But you did beat Oklahoma. You did beat Mississippi State. You'll play both of those teams again. So don't lose to both of them, or you probably are just, we're going to have to like cut the crap, and they're just in the same tier. Yeah. If Mizzou kind of finishes the year that way.
Yeah. This weekend, they have a 50% chance of winning, according to Ken Palm.
Oh, that's so gnarly. I can hardly stand it.
That's how the second half of the SEC season will start for Mizzou basketball. So, yeah, those are our tiers for SEC hoops. I've got 5 tiers. Brendan has 6 because he put A&M on an island, on Alcatraz Island.
Pretty much.
In that third tier. So give us your tiers, 573-875-KTGR here on The Big Show. Mizzou season, it's been very up and down, but as Evan Miyakawa illustrated in one of his graphics earlier today, maybe it's due to the fact that they're one of the teams that's been more hurt by injuries this year. His data seem to indicate that. We'll dive a little bit into it and give our thoughts on it next here on The Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app.
Miss the latest edition of The Big Show? Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now, wherever you get your apps. KTGR and MU Healthcare Sports Medicine are highlighting a local athlete each week. It's the KTGR Athlete Spotlight.
This week features Father Tolton senior wrestler Christopher Ankinman, who earned his 100th win by fall in his career at the Blue Springs South Tournament. Christopher won the 126-pound title at the tournament with 5 wins, all by fall.
That's the KTGR Athlete Spotlight. Thanks to MU Healthcare Sports Medicine, providing everything athletes need to be and stay at their best, because they're competitors too.
With Steve, all I have to do is call. I tell him the problem, he takes care of it. That's the way I like it. A good player that can put it in the basket.
This is Coach Norm Stewart, so you should probably listen to what he has to say about Steve's pest control.
Yeah, during my tenure as a coach, I had a lot of ball players that weren't highly recruited, and that's not to take anything away from their talent, because when they got to Missouri, they became the best. They became the best because they worked at it every day. That's what you'll find with Steve. He works at it continuously. That's what Steve does. He's going to give you his best all the time. He'll take care of the bugs, believe me. He does for me in Columbia, and he does for me at the lake.
This is Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problems. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Losing a loved one is probably the hardest punch you will ever take in the fight of life. Dealing with the fallout, finances, and how to replace that loss of income for your family is even harder. That's why Phyllis Nichols and her team are so passionate about life insurance. Phyllis Nichols is the 12-round agent who fights for your best interests and knows exactly what you need. Get your life insurance with State Farm agency licensed Phyllis Nichols, the 12-round agent.
Okay, the limb is hanging over the driveway. I need this pruned.
Oh, call the electrician.
An electrician?
Yeah, or maybe your HVAC guy.
You've officially lost it. I need an expert in the right field.
Fine, call that lawn company. They mow and prune.
Yeah, they also scalped your yard last summer.
When it comes to trees, trust the experts who actually know trees. Ones that are trained and educated for pruning, planting, and removals done right. Call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
Hey, y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. And this Sunday, the Superb Owl is back. Who will you be rooting for? At Billiards, we've had a burger called the Love Story for years. And it's so good, it'll turn your head. It would be wise to come and watch the Superb Owl at Billiards on Sunday.
Looking on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
Before the sun comes up and long after it sets, ABC 17 News and Storm Track Weather keep working for you, gathering the information your family needs to take on the day, alerting you to breaking news and health and safety concerns in our area, plus tracking the latest weather conditions to help you plan ahead. It's everything you need to know from the team you trust most. ABC 17 News and Storm Track Weather, where the news comes first.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
Geared up for Super Bowl weekend, of course, 573-875-KTGR, and looking forward to more college basketball this weekend as you prepare for the big game on Sunday. Give us your SEC basketball tiers, 573-875-KTGR here on The Big Show with Andy and Brendan. Also, a bit of a note locally from the Mizzou side and what's been a pretty busy NBA trade deadline. Lots of moves here. Maybe not the big ones that everyone was expecting. I mean, Giannis is staying put. Sabonis staying put in Sacramento. Here's an interesting one, though. Kobe Brown is on the move. The Clippers included him in the Zubac trade. Zubac going to the Indiana Pacers. So now Kobe Brown is an Indiana Pacer, Brendan.
Okay,
very interesting.
that's fun. Yeah, I mean, he didn't get a ton of run with the Clippers. I like seeing him maybe change teams and might be able to get something done in the new location. I like that.
So you get Kobe Brown and Sophie Cunningham playing in the same city.
There you go.
Pro basketball.
I like it.
Gosh, intensifies our Indiana basketball fandom
yes.
here on the
we already have
Big
it.
Show.
Yeah.
And so that's even better. So good luck to Kobe Brown with the change of scenery. Yeah, hopefully it does work out for him. I was a little bit surprised, not much though, I suppose. The fact that ESPN lists him as a guard. But I guess that's kind of the case in the NBA. Like the 6'7", it's probably the guard territory, right?
What'd you say?
I said guard territory.
Before that? I think you listed his height.
I did list his 6'7" height.
How tall is he? 6'7"?
Yes.
I'm just checking.
Yes. Anyway, good luck to Kobe Brown as he traverses over to the Indiana Pacers. I'll be interested to see what happens there with him. Okay, to today's current Mizzou basketball team. First off, the news from Dennis Gates. They gave an injury update. Obviously, the update we learned earlier in the week, Honor Boateng done for the year. Wishing him the best, obviously. Did say that Sean Phillips Jr. was practicing this week, been available. It seems that he should be available for the Tigers' very next game on Saturday against South Carolina as it tips off at noon. Maybe a little bit of question for that because he missed most of the second half against Mississippi State last weekend. So maybe wondering what was going to be hindering him as far as the ankle issue. But he should be back. Javon Porter does not appear to be back still. Been out for, I believe, all of conference play and maybe a little bit more than that. But this was an interesting graphic put up by the college basketball analytics expert. Covers the whole country, does something similar to Ken Pom, has his own rankings and stats and things like that. And he had a graphic that tried to measure the top 100 teams and how misfortunate they've been because of injuries. So tried to characterize top 100 teams and how much production they are missing or have missed per game this year due to the injuries that they have suffered. And there's a few outliers here, but like Evan Maya's caption said, USC, Oregon, Washington, and Missouri have been pummeled by injuries. And you can go and check it out. We've retweeted it at KTGR Big Show on Twitter. The graphic essentially shows USC is way out on an island. Like they have been the most affected by this, according to Evan Maya's numbers. Oregon, kind of the same thing, and they're the team that's really it's dragged down their team the most. I think they've missed like two of their best players this year, and that's why they're all the way down there. To me, those are the only two true outliers in this chart. I mean, yeah, Washington is out there, and Mizzou is like the next most adversely affected team by the injuries that they have suffered. Says that they've missed about a little over 4 BPR, which he calls the Bayesian performance rating. It's essentially your production per possession. How much production are you missing per possession, per game, because of the injuries that Mizzou has suffered? And like with all of that, I can kind of understand it because we saw what adding Trent Pierce and Jaden Stone back into this rotation did immediately for this team at the start of conference play. Like they were a different team, I think. Maybe a little more of that factored in. I don't know how much Honor Boateng factored into that, or because like Boateng missed games early in the year and then like Javon Porter, how much that factors into. Those are kind of the more minor ones. But the two main ones are Trent Pierce, Jaden Stone. Do you think that's been the main thing, though, is that what's hindered this team mostly was injury misfortune as it is? Because I don't know if I completely would characterize, like, he says these four teams, including Missouri, have been pummeled by injuries. I think Mizzou's been more pummeled by injuries in other years with Dennis Gates instead of this one.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you look at I guess, I mean, Stone certainly and Pierce certainly, maybe it doesn't feel like it as much because it's over now. Like the most impactful of the injuries, I think they're kind of through that to the extent that, like, I think Stone and Pierce were the toughest ones that they had to get through. Yeah, Boateng's out for the year. That is going to count. I mean, Sean Phillips has randomly missed games with illness. You've had Javon Porter out for a while. But I think in terms of the impactful guys, yeah, they missed like half the season collectively. But I think they're both back now. And so we don't really look at it maybe as much as this being a product of injury as much as, other factors.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't think the win-loss record is all that much affected by it other than maybe the Notre Dame game. Maybe they win that because Stone missed that one and Trent Pierce obviously didn't count. He didn't start his season until, into that.
You can count the fact that they missed X amount of games, but it didn't really affect them other than that loss because the other games they lost without him in December, they weren't going to win anyway.
Yeah, because they were pummeled by Kansas, pummeled by Illinois. Maybe the games are a little bit closer, but I don't think they win them. So like you're only talking about one game that maybe gets flipped.
Yeah.
Maybe the thought though is, okay, because Mizzou maybe wouldn't have lost by as much in those two games, which really hurt their KenPom rating, then maybe their metrics or predictive metric rating is not in the 50s right now. If they only lost those games by 10 or 15 points, like maybe they would have if those guys were in. I don't know. Again, I think that's the NCAA tournament committee may not look at that all that much.
Yeah.
When they're talking about, I mean, they'll look at the metrics, but I don't think that type of difference would make a whole lot of difference when it comes to that. I also look at it this way, like, okay, you lost a couple of those guys, but this is maybe a harder question. Like, is Jaden Stone, like, where would you rank him on, like, the best player on Mizzou's team right now? Like, is he first, second, third?
Second.
Second, you think? Okay.
And it's either second or third. First is Mark Mitchell.
Yeah.
Second, I mean, you could make a case that it's actually Teo Barrett, but I'm going to say it's Jaden Stone. Yeah.
And then Trent Pierce also for that.
Trent Pierce would be behind Teo Barrett, who I would say is number 3.
Okay.
And I would say that Pierce is 4. Who am I missing? Who do we want to debate? Because I know you could say Ant Robinson, but they've missed him because he hasn't been playing well.
Recently, the answer can't be Robinson because of how he's looked. Yeah, I mean, there's not I wouldn't put too many people above him at the moment. Like, you could maybe argue Cruz, like, but
I would not.
They already made that change to the starting lineup, and I think it worked.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's
I would do nothing of the sort.
Yeah,
in terms of making that argument.
Same kind of thing. Like, there's, I would kind of put them in a tier, and I would maybe put Phillips in the tier of like how much impact they have on the team.
That might be in the Trent Pierce tier, but I would say that's like behind the others.
But like the talent level, certainly you're talking Trent Pierce above those guys. And so, to that point, like when you lose those guys and you maybe don't have the depth behind them to replace them. It's also, I don't know how much it's baked into this type of projection, because I think what really hurt Mizzou in that case was that when they didn't have Pierce and they didn't have Stone for a bit, where was their shooting? It just non-existent. They could not space the floor at all. And so, like, you had the situation where that probably adversely affected you, but it's not to say that you can only blame the injuries. I do think some of that blame does fall down upon the roster construction. Hey, you didn't get enough shooting this year to replace what you had last year. So that kind of affected you a little bit more than it may have other teams because you couldn't get enough more in the room from last year.
Yeah, and I would say missing those two specific guys at the same time, two guys that can score for you in theory, was probably like positionally was a bad. If you're going to say like, here's our 5 most impactful players, you hate to miss those guys no matter what, but to miss those two at the same time specifically, I think exacerbated the issues that they were having in that regard.
So, I mean, a lot of it's baked into non-conference play, and maybe Mizzou's a little bit better in that category if they have those guys back. But we largely know what this team is.
Yeah.
Personnel-wise, like, again, knock on wood that they don't lose anybody else, right? Like, you hope that's the case. But we know how everybody kind of fits together. And so I would not, like, parade around that graphic as a Mizzou fan. See, we're just unlucky this year. Right. I don't know if I would go that far.
I don't want to let Dennis Gates do it either. So
that's now look, other years I would maybe agree more. Like 2 years ago, like they're not a good team,
right?
But they're not winless either. They win 4 or 5 games. Like
fully healthy Grill and Tanjay, you do win like five or 6 conference games, but like you're still bottom, quartile of the SEC. And so what does that really change? But yeah, there was like when Tanjay goes out and does what he does at Wisconsin the next year, it's kind of like, yeah, I guess you win this round, coach. Like right. you might have had some poor luck associated with that season going off the rails. But yeah, to necessarily assign it this year, I don't think is quite as applicable for my money.
So, I mean, I understand he probably wanted to list at least 4 teams. Evan Maya did in the caption, and technically Mizzou is the 4th most affected, but
totally understand why Missouri would be on that list when you're doing that type of methodology. I think when you dig in and recognize that it didn't actually hinder them, it made them look like they were going to have another 0-18 season. Like we were scared about what it could bring because you said we know their personnel now. We really didn't prior to getting Stone and Pierce back and seeing them together on the floor for the first time all year. Now that we've seen it enough, we kind of know what they're about. And we're like, oh yeah, they did lose X amount of games. Like the percentage of total games lost versus the impact those losses brought, probably not something that lines up exactly the same.
875 KTGR, you can give us your thoughts on that graphic that kind of made the rounds on Twitter a little bit from Evan Mayakawa, covers all things college basketball analytics. Mizzou measuring Mizzou's hindrance when it comes to injuries this year and maybe being misfortunate in that category. Daniel texting in, do you think we'll see Aaron Rowe now, maybe since Boateng is out? Obviously he's a point guard, but still. Like kind of talked a little bit about it yesterday. Like it's hard to see that.
Yeah, I do not.
It's a thin guard group, no doubt about it. And if they lose somebody else, then maybe they do need to really consider, okay, should we at least have Aaron Rowe? Should we be ready to burn the red shirt once we lose somebody else? But I think you've made up your mind, and you're not going to change your mind with 9 games left,
Yes, and I think Aaron Rowe probably is a guy that benefits from the red shirt and then coming back after a full season on campus and in the weight program to get a little more built up and take his shot at it next year.
Yeah, I think so too. It is interesting. Like they will have to manage their backcourt a little more closely because if they lose somebody else, they'll have to give Sebastian Mack a whole lot of minutes all of a sudden.
That's what it would look like, right? If either Anthony Robinson or Teo Barrett goes down, that's what you're looking at.
So
that was probably true anyway before Boateng. So.
Yeah. And look, that puts a whole lot of emphasis on Teo Barrett being the guy. And like,
that was true. I mean, once we saw the minutes start to flow in his direction, I think that was already the case. And so I'm not overly bothered by that, being where they're at, because frankly, I've enjoyed watching him play. And I think that he's, if you're going to put your eggs into a basket, it might as well be his. right now.
And I think Mizzou should feel a little bit fortunate that step forward has been taken at the time that it has.
Without it, if he
yeah.
was playing these minutes but not capably, or if they were just force feeding the Robinson experience more until it just, went the way that it was going, I think you wouldn't win some of the games you won. Let's just put it that way.
Well, look, it'll be a very intriguing second half of the SEC season for Mizzou. It starts Saturday when they go to South Carolina, and hopefully they do, in fact, have Sean Phillips available for that game because they will need his rebounding presence. But let us know, have the injuries more adversely affected Mizzou than maybe even some other teams across the country? Give us a call or a text on that at 573-875-KTGR. We'll get to more of your calls and texts, more of your thoughts on the Super Bowl as we get closer to that here after this live local sports center.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good evening, I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou men's hoops coach Dennis Gates said during media availability today that Sean Phillips Jr. has been practicing this week after tweaking his ankle against Mississippi State last Saturday. All signs point to him being available for this Saturday's game as the Tigers come off the midweek bye, taking on South Carolina at noon. On Saturday, you can hear coverage starting at 11:30 right here on KTGR. Mizzou women's basketball plays tonight. Tigers going for 3 straight SEC wins, visiting the Arkansas Razorbacks. Tigers beat Texas A&M and Mississippi State last week and are looking for their second win of the year against Arkansas. 6:30 tip-off, 6:15 pregame start right here on KTGR. Mizzou baseball picked to finish last in the SEC preseason baseball poll released today. Tigers begin the season next Friday in Fort Myers, Florida, as they take on Mount St. Mary's. Mizzou softball begins play tomorrow in the NFCA Leadoff Classic. They'll take on Penn State at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then they'll play number 5 Oregon at noon. Now your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast.
I'm tracking more mild temperatures into the weekend with highs near 50 again tomorrow. We are a little bit cooler on Saturday in the 40s. Then we warm up again for Super Bowl Sunday back into the mid to upper 50s, maybe seeing 60 before the end of the weekend. More confident that we'll reach 60 on Monday and Tuesday next week, which is more like our averages in late March. We'll finally see some rain later next week to cool things down. I'm meteorologist Nate Splater, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
The foundation is set.
Missouri knocks off the #1 team in the nation.
The frame is built.
On the run, Mitchell for the flush, Missouri by 20.
And the gates
the habits, the response to detail, the execution, all that stuff matters.
Are open.
Drives right baseline to the rim, jams it as he hangs and got fouled.
This is your radio home for Mizzou basketball.
Cruz, here comes the 3. Bang, he splashed it home.
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
It was 1 p.m. on a Monday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing and Restoration answered the call. It was a panicked family with a mouse problem. Well, a mouse/plumbing problem. Their toilet was more backed up than the connector at 63 and I-70. But Brian's team eventually plucked out the problem. It was a mouse, but like the computer kind, which the family then asked if they could keep afterwards. We didn't ask why. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at APIProjectFitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
Honey, he says we're in legal trouble and we're going to lose our retirement. We have to get to a crypto ATM now.
This can't be right. It's not right. I'm Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. We've received reports of devastating new scams involving crypto ATMs. Let's report this. We're here to help. Report suspected fraud at 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
I'm Tyler, and I've been a marketing consultant with Zimmer Communications. I joined Zimmer because my background was in helping local businesses grow in their marketing. It's cool working here because I get to work with people that I can actually call my friends, and it's a really encouraging environment. I think the energy is good because we enjoy working together. Everybody on the team brings something unique to the table so that we're building on each other's strengths. It's a great place to be because they give you all the tools you need to be successful.
If you're up for the challenge, apply now at ZimmerCommunications.com.
Hi, we're Midway Electric. Late winter is the smart time to take a look at your electrical system before spring projects and new power demands put extra strain on it. If your panel is outdated, breakers trip often, or you're planning major upgrades, now is the time to make sure your system is ready. From panel upgrades and repairs to efficient lighting and future-ready electrical solutions, Midway Electric helps keep homes and businesses safe, reliable, and prepared for what's next. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
As we get into the heart of basketball season, 1851 Underground Tap and Grill wants to remind you whether you need a place to grab a bite after a local high school or college game, or you want to plop down with some friends and watch some of that college conference action on TV, they've got a spot for you. Your favorite cold beer or cocktail and delicious appetizer or dinner options on the menu. Check them out on Facebook or at 1851underground.com. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sticklin McDonald.
And I'm Charlie Sticklin with the Sticklin & Sticklin Law Firm.
And I'm Mizzou Softball's Natalie Touche. At Sticklin & Sticklin, all we do is personal injury.
We've earned millions for our clients since 1991.
On the diamond, I trust my team. Off the diamond, I trust Sticklin & Sticklin. Don't let the insurance companies strike you out. Let Sticklin & Sticklin go to bat for you. Sticklin & Sticklin, it's a home run.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
Is Mizzou basketball injury unlucky? EvanMaya.com appeared to maybe indicate that in a graphic you put up. But again, context so key there. They're not an outlier, I would even call it. USC and Oregon are outliers on that graphic. Washington's also maybe there, but Washington and Mizzou are a little bit closer to the pack than all of that. You can see it on our Twitter page at KTGR Big Show on Twitter. They will need Sean Phillips this weekend. I'll say that though. Like, get him back, and then we'll talk about injury luck, no injury luck, things like that.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. But overall, we were kind of maybe a little bit skeptical on the premise. Maybe a little.
And then, of course, it's Super Bowl week, and it was great to have Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV joining us last hour. You can find that on the podcast very soon if you missed it. Always a great conversation with him to catch up when he's out in San Francisco, in the Bay Area. He's in San Francisco, even though
he is for now.
Santa Clara. But also, very interesting. You can text in over-unders if you want, 573-875-KTGR. We've talked a lot about the coaching matchup here, Brendan. Like Mike McDonald, Mike Vrabel, who's going to outwit whom, who can maybe call the right play to, I don't even know if either of them call plays anyway.
McDonald does on the defensive side.
Okay.
I know that to be sure. And Vrabel may.
I actually don't know the answer to that. But either way, both of them defensive-minded coaches might approach it that type of way. Game management going to be very key for both of them, too, using timeouts, especially if it gets close, things like that. I usually don't like when teams call timeout to save a delay a game or something like that.
Yeah, like, well, in the first half, it's a little bit more understandable. You're trying to get off on the right foot. You can't take them with you to the second half.
Right.
You certainly can't. On like a 3rd and 8 too, they'll do it. And you're like, no, wait a second. What are you really, are you really that prominently likely to advance in that spot anyway? It's fair to wonder at times.
Yeah. I think though, Brendan, we have found a coach that will not do it. He won't call timeouts to save delay games. In fact, he probably won't even call timeouts on offense in general. Maybe not, or at least he doesn't want to. Charles Huff, who just got hired as Memphis's new head coach, Memphis Tigers, obviously Ryan Silverfield went to Arkansas. They backfilled by getting Charles Huff, who was at Southern Miss last year, did really well at Marshall 4 years before that.
Okay.
He talked about how he only wants to call timeouts on defense. Take a listen to his reasoning.
So you got
All right, so that was him. That was kind of an odd question that he was asked, I think, about like their recruiting class. Obviously, signing day was yesterday. That was more of what the press conference was about, but he also talked about, the game philosophy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I think context is also important here. Charles Huff, he was more of like the offensive line type, but he came up as an offensive coach. He was under Nick Saban. He was his associate head coach, coached running backs under Nick Saban for a couple of years. He came up as an offensive guy, and he's like, no, offense, you operate without your timeouts. I'm going to save them for the defense because that could more adversely affect our team. If I see something on defense that I don't like, that is a lot more detrimental to us winning this game versus if we lose 5 yards in the moment. And I'll even take it a step further. It's a lot better to lose 5 yards with 9 minutes left to go instead of 40 seconds at the end of the game when I'm trying to come back, right?
Right.
I think that is also a benefit that I'm not willing to take, as opposed to maybe an extra couple of plays that I could use if I save a timeout for later and I can use it on offense when I'm trying to come back.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think there is, in the second half, I don't want to use my timeouts at all, but if you're going to have to do it, you'd like it to be on defense. But there's also, like, let's see a season play out, because there could be a moment where it's, it's third and 4 and you're down and you've got to score on this drive. You're gonna risk it, or are you gonna say, okay, a lot different to being in a 3rd and 4 and a 3rd and 9. But I think generally throughout the course of the game, it's more applicable to first half in particular, and then just in those situations that aren't like gotta have them's toward the end of a game. It's much more, I think, strategically sound to use those in a moment where you sense, oh boy, the defense is, we're gonna get torched for a 60-yard bomb here. If you are able to sense that pre-snap versus, right, the alternative when it comes to the other side of the ball. Because in a passing sport nowadays, especially if it's already like a 3rd and long, all right, you just got to throw it a little bit further. Like, don't burn your time out there. I think that I generally am on board with that.
And I have a feeling that even two defensive-minded coaches, Mike Vrabel and Mike McDonald, will still be like, oh, no, we're about, play clock's running down. Shoot, timeout. No, guys, it's okay. You'll lose 5 yards. The world will not end.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
So Charles Huff, that's watch out for Memphis now, I think. Honestly, like, if you listen to more of that press conference, Charles Huff is a fun guy to listen to. He seems like a lively guy. And like, look, Eli Drinkwitz can be here as long as he wants, keep winning everything like that. But like, there was a point, during last season towards the end of like, is Mizzou going to have to start looking for a coach? If they're ever in that position again, keep Charles Huff in mind, That's all I'm saying.
Interesting. I'm going to not say that yet. I want to see how it goes.
Sure.
With Memphis, but yeah. All right. I'll keep my mind open to the situation that I hope is just not, relevant, but I have to understand that this is the nature of the beast in this industry. And so you never know.
And so like, we'll see how Memphis does there. I think with the way that he was able to get Marshall going again, and Southern Miss wasn't an awesome year, but I mean, he still got a chance to stay essentially at that level, and we'll see if he keeps building to that point. But I thought that was pretty cool to see this week. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks again to Matt Hamilton for joining us as well. We'll have our Super Bowl predictions tomorrow. You ready for those? As well as a preview of the Hoops weekend. We'll talk Mizzou, South Carolina. We'll have our picks of the week. We'll have Rob Vino to talk all things Super Bowl. Lots to get to tomorrow, so join us for it. Mizzou Women's Hoops at 6:15. Stay tuned for that here on KTGR. He's Brendan. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
Life has many sweet sounds, whether it's being enchanted